Over time, I came to understand that growing up in that church and being disfellowshipped fostered a resilience within me. See, there it goes. Yeah. That I may not have ever found. No, I'm sorry.
Ticket to Petra revoked.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going. I'm not going.
You knew you were going. Welcome to Ambassador.
Knockoffs.
Exactly. You were the original.
The talk of things that were done in darkness will be brought into the light.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
You're a great reminder to us, too, of why we do what we do. Being a Black woman in one of the most racist religious organizations to ever exist. Because he's losing control. He's mad that he does not have control over you. Right. Holy fuck.
Really?
Sorry, we swear a lot.
Yeah, we do. He was just a curious, sweet old man. Right.
Yeah. No, not quite. Not quite.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew is right.
Yeah.
I was forced to face challenges with strength, stand firm in my convictions, figure out and articulate my beliefs, and advocate for myself.
I didn't want to, leave this earth without telling my real story.
Welcome to the Apostate Sisters Interview Series, where we meet survivors of the worldwide Church of God. These conversations reveal the complex journeys of healing and reclamation after life in a high-control religious group. Today's guest, Pamela Redd, is a powerhouse of resilience and reinvention. A lifelong educator, legal scholar, and community leader, Pamela has spent over 30 years uplifting others through knowledge, mentorship, and advocacy. She's also a proud musician, sorority sister, and civic volunteer with deep roots in leadership and service. But Pamela's journey also includes the pain of being disfellowshipped from the worldwide Church of God, a turning point she explores in her compelling memoir, Finding and Reclaiming Yourself. In it, she shares her path to healing and the strength it took to reclaim her identity on her own terms. Let's welcome Pamela. Help the sisters keep this healing content coming. Like, subscribe, and comment. Drop some dollars, or support us by becoming a channel member or patron for extra perks. Well, Pamela, welcome to the Apostate Sisters. We're so thrilled to have you here to interview. I think it was a few months ago that you reached out to us and let us know that you were writing a book about your experiences in the worldwide Church of God. And so we were thrilled to be able to align this to now your book has been released. And so we wanted to get together with you and hear your story straight from you and hold some space for what you went through. So I guess we can get started if you would like to tell us who you are and what brought you to this moment.
Okay. My name is Pamela Redd, but most people know me by Pam. And in the South, it's Miss Pam. So, yes, I've reached that status now. But I came into the Worldwide Church of God as a 5-year-old. My parents found my dad found the broadcast. And at that time, it was the Radio Church of God.
Oh, way back then.
Way back when. And society was still somewhat segregated because I remember 2 white men coming to our house, which was unusual for that time. I mean, because things were very separate. And after that, we started attending the what's now the Worldwide Church of God. We would drive from Beaumont, Texas to Houston, Texas, which is about 90 miles one way for church. So all my dad's friends, my uncles, of course, I didn't know this, but later on I found out, they were like, there's churches right here. Why are you driving to Houston? And he said he felt like this was the one church. This was the one true church. I mean, he bought it 100%.
Yeah.
So when we started attending, church was segregated. Black people sat in a separate section. I mean, we would talk to each other before, but once church started, we sat in our section. And this went on long after integration. In the city, and in the world, like, we would go to the Feast of Tabernacles, and we would sit in a separate section. It wasn't in the front; it was kind of in the middle.
Oh, but
right in the middle in your own section.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know if you guys ever went to Big Sandy and where they had the big tent and the tin building and all.
I mean,
that.
we've never been there, but we learned a lot about it. Yes.
Well, of course they have all these chairs, and our section. I mean, it was like it formed like a huge V, but it was in the middle. Like, we weren't up front, and we were in the back. But so there were white people all around us, and I remember one of the guys saying, they've got us surrounded. They could do anything to us.
Oh my gosh!
And I remember thinking, they wouldn't do that. I mean, this is the church.
Right.
So, yeah, this is the church.
God's chosen.
Yeah.
Well, so
yeah.
do you know much, Pam, about other churches during that time period? I mean, was this a normal thing that they would just segregate people around this time? Or was this because it was Worldwide Church of God?
It was because it was Worldwide Church of God, because society was pretty segregated. And then churches do tend to be segregated. But there was no separate section for a different race in other churches, like there was in Worldwide Church of God. And they actually had, when I say they, I mean Worldwide, doctrine or booklets about how the races shouldn't intermarry and those kinds of things. I mean, it was doctrine. We were not God's chosen people. The white people were, but because we were in the church, we were spiritual Israelites, so then that we were okay.
What the?
I know.
Seriously?
I mean, the whole idea of how he configured it that white people were somehow, like, the white English speakers, like, had transferred the chosen status from the last 10 tribes of Israel is bananas.
Right. Yeah,
well,
we
absolutely bananas.
We know where he got it from. That 1902, I think it was 1902 or 1908, the book. There was a book that came out before his book on British Israelism. And it's almost verbatim. I mean, even some of the titles are exactly the same. So we know where he got it from. It was this earlier idea that who knows where it stemmed from.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, Pam, that is just... It's so far out of the realm of my understanding, because I was born at the end of 79. Nancy was born in early 81, and we were in San Jose, California. So oddly though, I'm thinking back, and I'm pretty sure we only had one black family in our church. He was a deacon.
Wow.
I really don't think there were more. And this was California.
Wow.
Yep.
It was the most diverse place in the country.
Right. Right.
And it was so, on one block it'd be like, oh, the white families live here, and here's the Hispanic families, and here's the family from India, and here's, and it was just to me, I was told as a kid, civil rights had happened and all of that, and I looked around and it looked true. And so to hear how long the church continued segregation and telling people of color that they were lesser, is mind-boggling to me. So I truly appreciated hearing the parts of your story I've heard so far. But okay, so you're 5 years old and you go into this situation that's as segregated as the rest of the world at the time.
At the time, left my family, all my cousins, everything. And I remember celebrating Christmas. And so I was told, we're not going to celebrate Christmas anymore. I don't remember the reason my dad gave me, but he told me we weren't going to celebrate Christmas, and that did not sit well with me. I did not like it. I didn't. And I remember some of my two of my Christmas gifts. One was a doll, and you could do makeup and hair, but the other one was a small little piano, like organ type. And that kind of sparked my love of music, and them figuring out that I had this talent because I figured out how to play the little organ thing. And so then they started giving me lessons. So those two gifts, made an impact. And I remember we had a nice tree, and that was back in the day. They had those little shiny icicles hanging off, and I remember all that. Yeah. But it went from that to nothing.
Yeah. Nothing. That's almost worse when you've gotten accustomed for a few years as a kid to having Christmas and then just having it flat out taken away from you. For us, we just never had it, and so we never got to experience those joyful things. We just thought, well, I guess we're just not special enough to have those things, and so.
See, my brother is like that. He was 5.5 years. He is 5.5 years younger. So. When they started, I'm 5'6". Well, then he's a baby. He never celebrated Christmas. It's not the same for him. He's like you guys. It was he never did it. But once Houston integrated, and down here, it's very diverse. Houston is very diverse, and so I started going to a school that was integrated. We had everybody. But then on Saturdays, I'd go to church and I'd talk to my friends, and then I'd have to sit in the black section, and we had separate activities. Like when they had, how y'all had picnics and all that kind of stuff. They had a black picnic and a white picnic. They had a white dance and a black dance. Yeah.
Well, that dancing part, I remember, I think it was Patty, where you were told, weren't you, that like you weren't even supposed to dance with the black boys.
Oh, no.
That was a no-go.
It's so weird. By the 80s and 90s, I feel like some of it was being let go, but also there was just not diversity in the church that I experienced. Okay. Yeah.
Well, our church was diverse, but I guess because we may be a larger city, I don't know. I don't know what maybe the Los Angeles church, in California looked like, whether it was more,
I know. I've been trying to think back, and I'm pretty sure they had like a satellite church that was done in Spanish for that population in our city. But I just like I remember the one black family, and that is so strange to me now because I'm realizing it was completely diverse everywhere else.
Everywhere else, and in some of the large cities like Chicago and Detroit. They had their own all black congregation that they kind of kept like that. And I think even in Cincinnati, they had a lot more African Americans in the church. So it kind of stayed that way because that's kind of like what people wanted. And then white people would come, but the church was predominantly black. It's like they kept that segregated. I don't really understand why that happened because Houston, ours was diverse, and Houston is so spread out. People just went to the closest one. You were either Houston North, South, East, or Houston West.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. I mean, so you were in the church at the heyday, right? Because I remember when Armstrong died, and like things were kind of like falling apart ever after that. Mm-hmm. But you were in it for like leading up to the 1975. Doomsday prediction. Absolutely. I guess I don't want to jump ahead if there's something else you want to cover, but I am so curious to know what that was like, like internally for you, thinking through all of that.
Well, I remember them talking about it, like, 1975 in prophecy. We're going to go to Petra. We're going to go to the place of safety. We're going to live in the rocks. And I think I was about 10, and I was thinking, I'm not going. I'm not going. I can't. I don't like it outside. I mean, I'm from Houston, but I don't like the heat. So I was thinking, I'm really not going to like Petra. And then I just want to graduate from high school and go to college. So my plan, I don't know how it was going to come to fruition, but I was not going to go. I was going to go stay with my grandmother or something. But I thought that was weird. But I couldn't tell him. Who was I going to tell?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Oh, such a
Never
rebellious
was-
heart you had.
I know. Yeah, but I just thought I just want to graduate from high school and go to college. Period. Because
Right?
there was one guy in our church who, and I always looked up to him because as soon as he graduated from college, he moved to like Vermont. He's African American, and he became a professor. And I'm thinking, that's what I'm going to do. As soon as I graduate, I'm going somewhere else.
Mm.
You know, and so that was kind of I'm not going to Petra. I'm going to do this. But
You wanted your
then
freedom.
I did.
You wanted your independence. You wanted to live life how you wanted to live it. Good for you.
Yeah. But I couldn't say it. I couldn't
I know.
say that out loud.
No, you don't dare.
Mhm.
No.
I mean, you could hardly say it in your own mind.
Right.
Right.
Like, hope they don't hear me. Yeah.
God knows. He knows you.
But, that
He
was
knows
the big
thoughts.
thing. Yeah. And then I would be accused of having a bad attitude.
Oh.
That was like the triggering phrase for anytime you questioned anything or you had a bad attitude.
Did you find that having negative emotions wasn't allowed too?
Oh, no. You had to always be, this is, yeah. So, around that time, as we got closer to the date, that message kind of dropped off. I don't know whether I just wasn't listening, like really paying attention, but it got less and less prominent, and I knew I would be able to go to college. I mean, and I can't think of one moment when they decided, oh, we're not going to talk about it anymore. But I just remember, I'll be able to go.
Just glossed over, right? They
think
avoided that topic at that point.
Yeah, but
convenient.
You have to wonder, and for my family, and I never really asked them this way, but for my parents, like, why were you in this church? And it was so racist. I mean, my dad died believing, and so he died about 4 years ago, and he was in a different, there's all these offshoots now, but he died believing, and he didn't like me to question. I mean, I would have questions, and you can't question God. You shouldn't question, that kind of thing.
Wow.
He died believing.
He died believing that this was the one true church. My mother is in a facility. She's still a believer. She was in a different offshoot than one my dad was in, but they still both believe, which was one of the reasons, even though I always felt I needed to tell my story, I wanted to wait until I knew they wouldn't read it. Or I wouldn't get back to them. Because I didn't want to hurt them.
And that's legit. I mean, Patty and I did question when we had first started this channel too, like, well, do we even want to do this knowing that they might see it? We're like, we're not saying anything that isn't true. We're telling our story of how we feel, and we're listening to others do the same. So we have to be honest. We just went for it. Like, we think this is harmful, and obviously people that we interview do as well. Yeah. So we got to keep it going.
Yeah, and we're generationally we're different. I'm a boomer, and we were raised differently. You don't question authority, that kind of thing. And so I'm just happy you guys are speaking out about it, because for years, I'm all on the, once the internet, popular, and I was always looking, and I'm like, do people like this? And I started seeing little things where, this was happening, and this was happening, people were unhappy, and I tried to mention it to a few people, and they were like, that was in the past, don't worry about it. And I'm like, yeah, but it affected us.
But it's not.
It impacted us a lot.
Absolutely. I know. I think that's been the biggest realization for us too. It's not just talking about, the cult control of back when we were in it. It's like, no, there's some pretty messed up stuff in our minds and like traumas we carry in our bodies that still affect us in ways that like it takes a while to be like, that's because of what I was trained in.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's there. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm remembering, and again, you can take us backwards if I'm jumping too far ahead, but I'm remembering from the story that you wrote, your book, that you did go to college and not any college. You were one of the elites that went to Ambassador College. I want to hear anything you want to say about that, but also I think you mentioned that it lost its accreditation while you were in it. And oddly, I remember while I was a kid, there was this big thing of, yay, it got accredited. So it must. So anyway, so that was like, oh, it was accredited. It lost it. They got it back again, and that blew my mind. But I would love to hear your experience of getting into that college and what you did while you were there.
Okay. As you guys know, going to Ambassador was, that was next to getting in the kingdom almost.
Of course.
And for a long time, though, Ambassador College was segregated, and only Black married students could attend.
Oh,
I know. When I say this out loud, people are like, "What?" Yeah. And so, 2 years before I went, they accepted 4 Black girls and 4 Black guys. Just to kind of,
that sounds like a matchmaker game to me, but
yeah, really, just to see how it would go. And so the second year, I think they added some more. I was in the 3rd year of them accepting single Black people.
Question, Pam. Was it just Blacks that they were segregating, or did that extend to like anyone who wasn't white? Like, say, someone who was from India or Asia, Hispanic.
Good question.
Or they put in the same.
Black. I think it was, you were either Black or white. And that was also at a time when those were the only options on like applications and things like that. I mean, it was.
What?
I'm from the era where women couldn't have credit cards. I mean, so this is this is back when you were white or Black, and Hispanic people would check white. I mean,
really,
that's kind of the way it was, and in worldwide it was definitely for Black people. And I'm trying to remember. I don't remember Asian people being at Ambassador College. Maybe some Hispanic people, but no Asian, no Indian. I don't really remember. This was the early 70s. So, I started in 73.
Okay, and now we have all these mixed races now. I was just wondering how all that worked,
Right,
I'm married to a man from India today. You can imagine how happy our parents were about that. But I'm like, okay, so if we'd gone to this church, would he be sitting in a different section than I would? I'm just curious. Like,
he might, I don't know. Maybe that part I don't know. Yeah.
Wow.
But
so stupid.
it was strange. And when I got to Ambassador College, that being that a lot of the Black people could only go to Big Sandy or Pasadena for the Feast of Tabernacles, we kind of knew each other peripherally or had seen each other at the feast. Okay. So when I got to Ambassador, not everybody Black was a stranger. So that was some comfort. And, my dad, always wanted our family to be the example. So, I got to go and, make him look good as he was a deacon, I think, by this time. And I went to Ambassador. Now, to be honest, I loved Ambassador College. I loved it because I was free to do what everybody else was doing. Everything shut down on Friday night and Saturday. So I wasn't experiencing that I'm different thing. That part I loved. Made some great friends. I still hear from people from time to time. But the highlight was being on the feast shows. I don't know if you guys were still having them by the time you guys came along, but I was on that first Sunset to Sunset album that was done.
You've got to smile upon your brother. You gotta learn to love each other. You got to share all your feelings deep inside.
We watched like a 1981 feast thing where it was like all the dresses. Yeah, it's a little before that. Okay.
Yeah. We did I guess like a variety show. I mean, they would have like skits, but lots of singing. It was more kind of like up with people. That's before your time too. But
yeah,
they were red, white, and blue, and they sang, and so we were kind of like that. We actually did wear red, white, and blue, and we were the feast show entertainment. There were 16 of us singers, and then we had a full band of outstanding musicians. These people were writing music, arranging it, and we ended up doing 3 albums. If you look up, and you can find it's on YouTube, it's Sunset to Sunset. That's the name of the album. And I have a solo, and it's called Smile Upon Your Brother.
I know that song.
Oh, yeah,
I remember that song.
Okay.
The song, like when you said that, it rings familiar to my head.
Yep,
so.
Same. This is an amazing perspective, Pam. But like, have you involved? This was like prior to what was it? The Young Ambassadors, they were called.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to Ambassador. Horrible.
Knockoffs.
Exactly. You were the original.
We were the New World Singers.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
New World.
Phenomenal musicians. I mean, they were writing music and we were performing and,
something Armstrong could definitely afford.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
then I also was able to go on the personal appearance tours with Garner Ted Armstrong.
With Garner Ted.
Oh, was he out by the time y'all?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's like it's hard finding information about him. It's like everything from his time in Worldwide got put in a black box. Yeah. So I know you've got stories.
He was like handsome, very charismatic.
Yep.
He could sing, and we really, really looked up to him. And what happened is we would go to all these cities and he would preach, and then we would sing, and they picked some people from Pasadena and from Big Sandy, and I was part of the ones that got to go. And people were, the people that came to see him, they would talk to us and tell us about their marital problems. I mean, I'm 18, 19, they were asking for our autographs, so, that's why I say Ambassador College was good. I had fun. Later, I realized, because we didn't have to pay anything, that was people's time. That was people's money that paid for all of that.
Well, and your music that brought you to that elevated place, like that started with your little piano you mentioned, right?
That I got for Christmas.
Love that so much.
And
but then you spoke about that you played music for churches like before and after Ambassador. Is that correct?
Yes. I played for our church congregation. I don't know if the services were still the same, but you start off with the song leader goes up and the pianist goes up, and that was me. Yeah, that was me playing the piano. And I'd go to, depending on what the schedule was, I'd go to Houston North or Houston East, and I was a young teen. I was 15, 16 doing that.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it got you all the way to the tippy top of the Worldwide performance stage.
It did.
Pretty cool.
It did. But I will say this: I auditioned to be a pianist for the new. I didn't know it was New World Singers then. I just auditioned, and then ended up singing.
Oh.
I knew I could kind of sing because my dad's a singer, but I was thinking piano. But the woman who played for the New World Singers is a phenomenal pianist. She's in Detroit. And I think she and her husband are probably still in, but phenomenal. Yeah. I mean, these people were so talented. All of us probably could have had careers in music. Especially the singers, one thing, but the people the instrumentalists and the people that were writing, and that was pretty amazing.
It is amazing that you could have done all this on your own without Worldwide Church of God. Isn't that amazing? Right. It just happened to be one more bonus. It's kind of like, you stick something fun in with something like this. I'm like, oh, it becomes appealing all of a sudden.
Yeah, it does.
I'm glad you had a chance to do that.
I did. Now, I can't tell you about the classes. I know I went. I don't know what school was not a priority. I mean, my grades were fine, but I do remember sitting in an assembly and they said we've lost our accreditation. And I was alarmed. But the people, I'm looking at the people around me and everybody was still in their regular, but I'm thinking, this is bad. So I left. I mean, at the end of that year, I left. I didn't really talk about it because the other people that were there, they seemed to be okay with it. But, I had visions of wanting to have a career because this was, also in the 70s. Women were coming into their own. I'm a woman, hear me roar. So I wanted a career, but not from an unaccredited. I mean, I'd have a degree from an unaccredited college and have to start all over. And so I left after 3 years.
Oh, wow. 3 years in. Yeah.
3 years in.
Before we wander too far from the illustrious Garnered Head. You can tell me you don't want us to talk about this now because it's in your book. But there was a little story you had in there of during the traveling with his personal tour, you went out dancing or to a club or something with some of the other students, and you might have encountered him. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes.
Garnered Head Armstrong drama. I'm all about it.
Oh, okay. Well, apparently there's a lot of it, But we were on the personal appearance tours, and we stayed in these great hotels. And at one time, hotels always had jazz bands or something going on downstairs. So we snuck downstairs because we knew we weren't supposed to do it because it was a Friday night.
Oh, double whammy. Okay.
So we get down there. And Garnered Head is down there. So that's one, because we weren't supposed to be there. So he surely wasn't supposed to be there. And he was with a woman who wasn't his wife. And I remember just being, I just thought, I can't believe he's doing this. I mean, and it's the Sabbath. I mean, I'm breaking the Sabbath, but, he's supposed to be, And I remember, some of the other people were a little bit bolder than me, and they talked to him and all this stuff. And they were like, you can't do anything to us. I mean, because he's down here too. But I don't remember saying anything. I was just like, I don't believe this happened. I didn't tell anybody when we got back to campus. And I certainly didn't tell my parents. But I just thought that was probably the worst thing that I had ever seen. From my limited perspective. I'm 18, 19 years old. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But he was very handsome and very much a womanizer. And, the stories I've heard, after college. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and how could you doubt the stories you've heard when you literally saw him?
I saw him. And I thought, how could he do this? Breaking the Sabbath was bad enough, because we knew we weren't supposed to be down there. But seeing him do that shook me.
Yeah, well, and then
the loss of accreditation
later. Well, okay, do you remember then when it came out that Garnered Head Armstrong was he was actually discommunicated or excommunicated from the church as well? Disfellowshipped is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Because of his infidelity. When did that story break? Do you know how much longer after that incident?
I was still at Ambassador College, so it was probably my junior year, and I remember We were told, or from what I remember, that he was starting his own church because he was rebellious against his father. That's what we heard. And I thought,
Which father?
it's because, the one and only HWA.
Old Herbie.
But that's what we were told. But I think I mentally shut down on the accreditation piece. So the Garner Tet thing didn't, I was like, oh, whatever.
You were worried about your credits.
I got to get home and start my life, start my career.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, in that time, did you also meet HWA? Like, I don't want to make it all about the white men that ran this thing, but also, like, you had an encounter with him.
I did meet him. I met him on more than one occasion because I seem to remember that at the feast, I think you could go up and shake his hand and all that stuff. I mean, because, we were smaller than we were when you guys came along. So most people either came to Big Sandy or Pasadena. So, there were some more feast sites when I was a little girl, but by the time I got to Ambassador, there was Jekyll Island. I mean, there was a few more, but I think by the time you guys came along, there were a whole lot of them. So.
Oh yes, I mean it was a whole travel smorgasbord available.
Oh,
All the fancy people went to Palm Springs, and the not fancy people went to Sacramento.
Oh, okay. So in the old days, we would actually meet him, and I remember shaking his hand and him being really old. I just thought he was just like old. I don't know. He just had old man vibes always.
Just crusty.
When I was an ambassador, I was selected to be a server at a dinner where he was hosting. There were some other people in the room, but I don't remember who they were. And then he had a lady that was his cook or chief of cooking staff or whatever she was, but she managed all the servers and made sure the meal was prepared, and we were taught how to serve, and we had to wear these little things. I don't remember exactly, but we all had on the same thing. But when I came through, he stared at me so much so that I was uncomfortable, but of course I wasn't going to say anything. And so my friends, later were like, did y'all see him? I mean, he was really staring. And we kind of came up with, maybe he's never seen a black person up close like that. And I don't think, I mean, you know how when you're in the church, you justify everything, but obviously that wasn't the case. But he was just creepy. He was creepy. And it was a long table, of course, he's at the head and people on each side. And so, we're walking around serving. And his head is just like, following me to where I'm not the only person that noticed it.
What in the world?
So, how old were you, Pam?
18, 19. I went to college at 17.
There you go. He loved beautiful young women.
Yeah, I stayed there till I was, so I was there 3 years, 17, 18, 19. Yeah.
Oh,
so that was creepy enough to stick with me.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And that was likely before you heard the stories.
I didn't hear those until I had left.
And yet you could tell his creepiness.
I thought he was creepy. I knew I couldn't tell anybody. And I kind of justified it that, maybe he wasn't used to seeing black people up close. I mean, we're in the church. I mean, for a long time, I didn't see it for what it really was. Oh. But then when I did, I was like, ugh, especially after all those stories came out. But at the time, I'm thinking, well, I guess, because I was the only black girl. And the woman that was managing the kitchen and all that, she was African-American also. But we were the only two black people in the room, in that setting. And, later on it clicked. But at the time, I justified it. I thought it was something rational.
Right.
He was just a curious, sweet old man. Right.
Yeah. No, not quite. Not quite.
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew is right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you've been in the church since 5. You've played piano, and that's been like this ticket to some, or your music talents have been this ticket to some amazing things
Yes. Yes.
in those years of the church. But then lost accreditation, and so you're like, I also have to live real life. So
Mhm.
then, what did you do when it relates to like career in church after the accreditation loss?
Came back home, and there was one university that would accept my credits, but I would be on probation. And that was university. It was Houston Baptist University. Now it's Houston Christian. But I just went, and I was on probation. They accepted all of my credits. Like, I think I took Old Testament survey and, you know, Genesis 101 or whatever. But they accepted all of those. So I only had to go an extra year. So I graduated in 5 years rather than 4, which is really not so bad. And I wanted to be a teacher. And so I became a teacher, loved it. And I was kind of in and out at that time. I mean, I loved teaching, but it was, you see all these kids, you are making an impression on them as their teacher. And I'm thinking, but I'm going to this weird church every week. And then they have carnivals and things on Saturdays, and I'm like, well, I kind of go and didn't tell anybody, those kind of things. So I was in and out, kind of afraid to leave, because what else is there?
So the only colleges, universities that would actually accept transfer credits from ambassador were like religiously affiliated in some way, right?
This one, yes. Yeah, this one.
Okay.
I don't know, because there, it's obviously several of the universities, and I tried, and they were like, well, yeah, you can come, but you got to start all over as a freshman. And I didn't want to do that. I just didn't want. I guess I would have done it if I had to, but I didn't want to do that.
Right. I mean, that's great news, though, because you got to be the teacher you wanted to be.
I did get to be a teacher, yeah. And I was in and out, was dating and eventually married somebody that had grown up in the church with me.
Okay.
And this was in the Vietnam era. So he had gone to Vietnam, and he came back, and, we got married. We were young, didn't know anything about PTSD and none of that. So we didn't last, but he was my boyfriend from when I was a little girl too. So yeah. But I haven't talked to him about this. We rarely talked about the church. We didn't, just other than that weirdo, that weird stuff. But we've never talked all of this through, because very bright. He got a scholarship to school. He's all athlete. But I think, the combination of Worldwide Church of God and Vietnam just did him in, severe PTSD. That's what we call it now. But, he had a lot of issues, which thankfully I guess I could have had the same thing. But a lot of things, I think, stemmed from being in the church and being told who you were supposed to be. You got to fit in this mold, or you're going to burn up in the lake of fire.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Sounds familiar.
And all the rules from head to toe, from, how to wear your hair, no fingernail polish, we were in the no makeup era. And
That's
then
great.
y'all had makeup. Did y'all have makeup?
I was a child when it changed, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean our parents didn't put restrictions on them. So,
Okay.
yeah, they did.
Yeah. You have to wonder what the parents were thinking. I mean, I as a parent, my daughter's 32, and I maybe it's because I was in the church, but I would never want her to just be somebody other than who she is. I mean,
Right.
I mean, y'all are kids. I mean, you just, no, don't do this. You have to do this. And it's not because of what I think. It's because of what these people at the church think.
Mm-hmm. Ew,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I think I had the same backlash as a parent. I have two
Yeah.
teenage daughters, and I, maybe to a fault have let them be a little wild, but it was so important to me that they be every bit themselves, and other than respect for other people, not be like put into a box,
Right. Right.
like to me, that's the line of, respecting others, of course,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. I was the same way. And my daughter did go to visit church with my dad, because at one time he talked me into playing for that church because they didn't have a pianist. So I went
but this was
and
after you got
and
out.
this was after I got out, and he was in one of the Garner Ted Tyler, Texas thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And but I mean, this congregation was in Houston, and I went and I told my daughter, "Papa's church is weird. We're going to go. I'm going to play, and then we're going to leave," because she had been going to church with Catholic church, So this is really different, So even after I stopped playing, and she would stay with him and his wife, she would go with him, but it never rubbed off on her. I mean, I don't know whether she didn't listen. I don't know whether she listened, didn't just tune out, but she, how was your dad? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, boring.
Yeah.
That was always her response. She never said, "Well, I heard them say this, this, this." Nothing like that.
I guess she never had it, beaten into her in so many ways that was how she could be good. Because I feel like that did a number on all of us, right? That desire to be good, be accepted, because that makes you safe in your family and community, and which is like kind of everything. Yeah. And if you don't believe and they tell you that's going to be your, you do it.
Yeah. You do it. Yeah.
Okay. So now you said you were kind of in and out for a while, and you've had some, and you did get out. What was that like process? What made it to the day of like, I'm never going back after today?
Well, I was disfellowshipped.
Oh.
So, yeah.
You're part of an elite club, Pam.
I think
You're one of the excommunicated. I think I am,
yeah. But yeah, after I married my first husband, that didn't work out. I married a guy who, like me, had kind of grown up in it. I was way in it. Like his dad wasn't in it, so he could kind of come when he felt like it. But we married rebound. He had been married to somebody, and they weren't in the church, and it didn't work out. I had been married to my ex, and it didn't work out. And so we married way too quick. Of course, we counseled with the ministers, and they said, everything's fine. It didn't work. And it didn't work. Not a lot of major drama, but by the time we decided to split, we were both okay. We're like, I wouldn't even say friends. We're just like acquaintances. Like, okay, you go your way, I'll go mine. We're fine. Our mistake was telling the ministers, because you told them everything. And I look back at that. Why did I even say anything? But we told them, and they said, "Well, no, you can't do that." Well, by this time I had my own place, and he had his own place. So they said I had to go back, or I would be disfellowshipped.
Because Pam, during this time, can you clarify? Was this right in the middle of when the divorce and remarriage program was active?
Oh yeah, they changed. Yeah, you guys under different rules. In our rules, you get one man, one woman, one marriage. Yeah. And if you came into the church and you were married and had been divorced, you had to go back to that first spouse.
Or try to, yeah. Okay.
Or try to. So by the time I came along, if you had married somebody that was unconverted, you could remarry in the church.
That was the only exception to the, okay. Yeah.
I don't think I'd heard that step.
Yeah, that's how I was able to marry in the church, because both of our spouses were unconverted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So clearly it wasn't of God, huh?
Clearly. So they gave me a time period. I don't remember how long it was, but he says, you have this time and I'm going to call you back, and you need to be back with him by that time. Interestingly enough, that minister was somebody that had been in the Houston congregation. I knew his parents, and we were at Ambassador College at the same time. So I knew him. His wife and I had been roommates. So I knew him. I didn't see him like I saw the other ministers in that sense. I mean, he was, So when he called me, you're supposed to go back, and he's lecturing, and I said, well, no, he doesn't want me back. I don't want him back. You can call him. Well, he knows he's supposed to take you back, and and I said, well, no, I'm not going back. He loses it. I mean, we didn't have like video chats, but he is screaming, and I'm imagining, bulging vein. I mean, he's screaming at the top of his lungs. And then he says, and this I won't forget. So what do you have to say for yourself now? You're disfellowship. So what do you have to say for you're disfellowship. So what do you have to say for yourself? And I mean, the screaming I was taken aback. Because I'm like, well, you already said you were going to, I was like, why do you have to scream? Why is it that intense?
Because he's losing control. He's mad that he does not have control over you. Right. Holy fuck.
Really?
Sorry, we swear a lot.
Yeah, we do.
That's okay. And so I just remember saying, okay, or fine, or all right, or something, and just got off the phone. Because I'm thinking, you're really way overreacting to this. So after I hung up, I remember thinking, I'm free, but what have I done? I kind of want to be free, but what have I done? Nobody's going to talk to me, and all of that. So that was tough, because my parents bought it hook, line, and sinker, and so they cut off communication. And
your parents did.
Yeah, they were staunch believers. And
how old were you at this point?
I was 29.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, 29.
So fully a grown-ass woman.
Oh yeah. I had
living your own life,
all my place, and all that. Yeah. So I couldn't talk to anybody at church about it. Certainly was not going to tell anybody at work, because trying to explain all of that. And so I built my life from that point. I know I have a chronological age, which is a big old number, but I almost have to shave those years off, because I started at 29 trying to figure out who I was.
Yeah.
Where I fit in. I was afraid to break the Sabbath. I mean, it was so much.
How did you move into that of like doing your own life on Friday night and Saturday?
Well, I knew how to do school. So I ended up applying to law school, and I was like, just so I can meet people. And so I went to law school, and I certainly wasn't going to tell them that I couldn't do things on Friday night. So I started doing some things, like this law school had, and they didn't tell you what it was initially. They said arbitration is on Friday evenings, and I was like, well, I guess I have to go, But it was happy hour, so arbitration, arbitration, and it very informal, and so that was nice. But I remember the first time I went, the sun is coming down. I mean, it was after class, it was after hours, and I'm thinking I'm breaking the Sabbath, but it doesn't count because I'm not really in it. But the hardest thing was not being able to share this with anybody. So I learned to be very guarded, very secretive, very, I can't tell you too much because you're not really going to understand. You're going to think I'm weird, but I'm sure they thought I was weird anyway, because I was like a kid trying to figure things out, and going to people's houses and having dinner with them, things like that. That was all foreign to me because it had always been just the church people.
Yeah.
We were even told, your biological family is not your real family. Your church family is your family.
Oh. Oof.
Oh, yeah. There was a huge separation. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's a cult tactic for sure.
Yeah.
So can I ask what happened with your family at this point? I mean, did your parents just never speak to you again after this? I mean, were you kind of...
This kind of all happens like right before HWA passed. And I remember I reached out to my dad and said, "No, I heard about that." That was kind of my way. And he kind of talked to me. I think he said something snippy. But after that, it kind of melted away. And I will say that as he, got older, my daughter was born, that all kind of melted away with both my parents. But my dad had dementia. And I think he remembered, how they can remember things further back than they do the day to day. I think he remembered a lot of things because he cried a lot. When he would see me, he would cry. And I would say, "It's okay." It really is okay. Because by that time, I'm like, I'm over it. I've forgiven him. And you were brainwashed. You still are. And I can't do anything about that. But our relationship was good. And I took that as his apology. Because he was like, you're always so nice. Yeah.
Maybe that was the only apology you'd ever get, but that was nice to see a little piece of his humanity coming through in that moment.
Right.
Like he's still in there.
Rigid, so just. But that's what he believed. Yeah. And at his funeral, I had somebody from the church to officiate, out of respect. But I also had my priest there. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're allowed.
Yeah, I'm allowed. Yeah, I didn't have to ask anybody. Yeah. And not only was, making friends, going to school, doing those things, a hurdle, but going to another church and stepping foot in the building was hard because in Worldwide you couldn't go unless you were invited. Did y'all have that rule back?
I think it kind of changed over the years. Yeah.
Okay.
And if it was in place, we weren't privy to that. Like I would think if they were still doing it, they kept it on the down low that they were doing that at the door,
Yeah. See, my dad was a deacon. And if somebody came to the door, they asked him who invited you. And they had to give a person's name. And if they didn't, they said, well, this is a private meeting. And so I remember going to a church and people just said hello. And I was like, wow. I mean, because I had gone to church with, like a family funerals. But that's different because you're in a group and everything. But going to a church by myself and nobody stopped me. And I've sat wherever I wanted. I mean, it was scary. It was scary.
Yeah, for sure.
It was scary to get back into another group, so, like finding a community, because you've just been in a community where there's just been rules. Very strict.
Yes,
not
yes.
in a group where people are more accepting of you. Yeah.
Right. And I visited, multiple denominations and different churches just to kind of get a feel for what other people do, because that was one of my triggers for a long time. A lot of Black people are Baptist, brought up in the Baptist church, and there's a way that they do things in their churches that they all know about. They all know the same songs. So they would say things like, "Oh, girl, remember we used to do that," and I'm thinking, but I didn't do that. And I'm thinking I'm over here mad, and they don't even know what I'm feeling. But those kinds of things really bothered me because my upbringing was so different.
Right.
But now I'm finding out there's a lot of us that look like me that were in these offshoots and had a very, very non-traditional upbringing and can't relate either. And can't relate to some of the things that are, when people talk about the Black church, they're talking about a specific way church is conducted in a Black Baptist church.
Okay.
Is the stereotype. That's a stereotype, but it's it's based in some truth.
Do you happen to know which offshoot your father was in upon his death?
I don't think it was Church of God International, maybe, but they had the colors were like purple. They had
Colors.
Yeah, and I think it was purple. You know what? And I'm laughing now because at the funeral, the minister had on the colors. Well, it's the same colors from a Black fraternity.
Oh.
Purple and gold. So the guy that was, at the funeral home, who was also a friend of mine, he's a drummer at a church, we played together, was pinning the corsage on him. He says, "Oh, are you he was naming the fraternity. And he's like, "No, I'm with the Church of God." And I think he said Church of God International or something like that. So I think
a lot of them had similar names. I know that was one of them. So many. In fact,
International, intercontinental. Gosh, I laughed when we looked them all up.
As long as Church of God was in the name, I think Armstrong was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you did do some searching and you found community in a
I
church.
did find community. Kind of based on family, because my mother's side of the family was always Catholic. And now, going to Catholic church from Worldwide Church of God, that was the demon church.
Yes. Catholics
all the priests had 666 on their forehead. I mean, they made it so scary. But my mother's side of the family and my cousins on that side were all Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. So I thought, well, maybe this is what I was supposed to be. And so I started attending. They had a great youth, young adult. We'd go out to brunch. And I found out that one of my friends that I had lost contact with, we went to high school together, but she was my one friend that, didn't make fun of me, for the church and all that. She was like, "Oh, it's just what you do." She didn't really give me a hard time about it. And we stayed friends, and I think I lost touch somewhere in the 80s. But by the time I started going back to the church, I found out she was a member of that church. Oh. And so, I felt, okay, this is where my people are. I mean, doctrinally, not so much. I mean, it's every place you go is going to have something that you question. But I have found my community.
Oh,
community.
Yeah. And community is everything. Yeah, it's everything.
It is.
And
it is.
Being a pianist, though, I've ended up at a couple of different churches. And the one where I am now, I've been playing there for about 3 years.
Good.
The one before that, I played there off and on for a lot of years. And so I'm trying to scale back. And so, yeah. So, because I was doing one on Saturday, because Catholics have Saturday Mass, and then I was doing Sunday Mass also. And I'm like, this is too much. So now I'm only doing Saturday afternoons, with the intent to eventually step back, because I'm retired, from full-time work. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for trusting us two apostate sisters to come tell your story, because as you know, we kind of go the atheistic route, so it's very kind of you to have trusted us and listened to enough of us to know that you could safely come here.
Yeah. I knew it was a good space. Yeah. And I think everybody has to find their own way. You just have to find your own way and whatever's comfortable for you. Yeah.
Yes, we've definitely found our community as well.
Yeah.
As just non-believers in any of it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I commend you guys for even talking about it. My age group, we don't really like to talk about it. I mean, we're better. But there's some people in my age group, they were like, oh, because they saw me on another podcast and they were like, you told everything. I'm like, yeah. It's time. It's time.
Yeah, it is.
It's not a secret, So, I mean, I will say after I pushed send on the book, I kind of panicked. Like, what have I done? I'm telling everything, but eventually I've kind of, I've made peace with all that. But
Pam, I think, man, you're going to inspire so many people with your book. And we're going to do our part to help get the information out there so that people are aware of it. And it's your age bracket that we want to hear from the most anyway. The early church.
Yes.
Before it started changing, a little bit socially, which it did.
Didn't you all start going to church on Sunday?
Now that it's Grace Communion, I believe they're just a regular evangelical church, from what I understand, going to church on Sunday. Yeah, they've changed completely. Even the name now. Before, they actually kept the name because they wanted people to see the transformation. Not long after that documentary came out, Called to Be Free, if you've ever seen it.
No.
It's on YouTube. Check it out. It's free. Called to Be Free, where Takash and he talks about, how they did the major upheaval with the church. But it was interesting.
Around when that was happening with Takash and the receivership and all. I was in and out at that time, and we were getting sermons telling us to write letters about how we love the church, we love the we didn't like the receivership. I didn't need it. I mean, they would basically telling us what we should say and things like that.
They didn't hesitate to get political when they needed to defend their piles of gold.
Yes.
I mean, two jets. Come on, HWA, what you doing?
And then at the Big Sandy campus, for sure, all of the faculty members and the ministers had their own homes that we paid for with our tithe money that they didn't have to pay for. The full-time ministers had homes they didn't have to pay for. Cars.
Wow.
Oh, speaking of money, were you familiar with Stanley Rader at all, or was that a little bit before your time?
He was around. I don't remember. He wasn't like the originals. The originals were Herbert Armstrong and Garner Ted. And then Stanley Rader kind of came on, then Takash. And so after that, I was kind of out of it. But I came up in the HWA, Garner Ted, Bible correspondence course. Did y'all have to do that?
I remember my mom doing it, but I wasn't old enough. I did YES lessons, though.
And YOU.
And
then I was in the YOU briefly, yes.
Well, in my era, we had YOU, but we had a white YOU and we had a black YOU.
That is going.
And I don't think we called it YOU then. We called it youth group.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Youth group. Yeah.
Youth Opportunities United.
Yeah. Isn't this crazy that Armstrong actually mentioned in his last book, Mystery of the Ages, that race was not even a thing. He mentioned it was a strain. Yeah. So he was basically implying that, race doesn't even exist. We're all just one race.
He would say whatever would put money in his pocket.
Absolutely.
And he was good at it. He
was good at it.
So many people.
Yeah.
And in his own way, I guess he was charismatic. I don't know whether it was the authoritative, the world tomorrow, that whole, the way the broadcast would come on and the booklets with all the exclamation points and the bold. He was
marketing.
Dramatic, yes.
He was a marketing mogul.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, he was.
He knew how to make things sound more appealing to people.
He did. Yeah.
Well, I did have a chance to read your book, and I am so incredibly excited about it. I think it's a very important book. You did such a beautiful job of like explaining the race piece that influenced the church throughout your life as well. I also thought it was such a great story of just your personal story, but you did a great job of looping in what the church was really like and what the rules were and the holy days we had to keep and all of that. So like, even for someone who wasn't in the church, I feel like it's a great primer on what the church was like as well. And now I believe you've self-published the book. It's called Finding and Reclaiming Yourself, a memoir of triumph after being disfellowshipped from the worldwide Church of God. So I wondered if you wanted to maybe talk about your process a little bit and make sure all of our listeners know where they can get your book.
Okay, well, I will start with that. The book is on Amazon, and it's paperback and Kindle. And the process was a long one because I knew it was in here. I knew in order to really be okay, I had to be okay with talking about it. And that was my hesitation. And I would say a little here and say a little there. And I have a group of women friends, and a couple of them I started telling them just bits and pieces. And they were like, girl, you need to write a book because that was crazy, And they were like, it's no wonder you're not, on the corner with a cup, because that was awful. They were like, that was bad. That was bad, right? It was awful. So then I started formulating, well, yeah, I should. And then thinking about, my parents and all that. So once I sat down to write, I looked, because I wanted to test my memory. I'm like, did I remember this right? Well, yeah, I did. Well, did they really say? Well, yeah, they said that. Because you can find everything now online with the booklets and everything.
Yeah.
So
I garnered Ted then.
Oh, wow! I didn't know that.
Those are harder to find.
Oh, because now they have the hymnal that's online and everything. Because we had our own church hymnal, we couldn't sing the worldly hymns. There's such a thing. But, I just wrote just kind of, it was disconnected. And then I went back and tried to make it more sequential. And I did want people to understand, people that had no affiliation with it, what it was about and how different and how intense it was and how many rules there were. So I wanted people, especially people that had no idea, when they read it, to see how we were controlled.
Yeah.
And then, why the disfellowshipment, or if there's a word, the disfellowshipping, was such an impact. Because if people stop going to a regular church, they just stop going. Like, well, I was Catholic, now I'm not. Okay. But it was so different when I left the Worldwide Church of God. And I really literally started all over. I went to therapy trying to figure out, and my therapist was like, what? What is that? She had never heard of it. And so we did a lot of self, affirming work, because I don't know if you guys remember, but that whole vanity of vanities, all is vanity, that was preached into us. They didn't want us to, they called it decorating yourself. And so there were just so many rules. So for people that are in any kind of high control group, I just want them to know you can get out and you can be okay, but you have to talk about it. You have to share it and not be embarrassed, even though I am a little embarrassed, but the people I've talked to, in fact, I was at dinner last night with some friends, and I was saying, well, it's kind of a book that's only going to appeal to, and they were like, no, don't say that, because you never know who it's going to help. High control can be anything. So, don't hesitate to share your story. And everybody's been so affirming, and none of these women had any idea before I told them. And so everybody has just been so supportive. There's a woman that I work with that I had her listen to the podcast, and then she read the book. She was like, I had no idea.
Yeah,
And
we get the same.
yeah, she, has turned out to be a good gauge because she is in my age group too, but had no affiliation with any kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
And so it's been nice having her, get her kind of, and she doesn't have a lot of filters. So she asks me all these questions, but I'm glad she does, because it kind of tells me, kind of where people, what they're thinking when they're reading things like this.
Yeah.
It's much more subtle. The control, I feel, was just so much more subtle than a lot of organizations. And that's how I feel like maybe they stayed under the radar. Even Patty and I were talking, well, are we sure we want to do this show here on the channel? Because there were people out there that had so much darker stories. And I feel like there was so much that we steered clear of. But no, once we started talking about it, we realized those subtle ways that we were being controlled and manipulated. And yes, it needs to come out. We need to talk about it. We talk to others that, not just Worldwide Church of God, but others in high control religious groups. It's very important.
It is important because, people do ask me, oh, were you, physical abuse, sexual abuse? Not me personally, and I'm sure that there were some people, but for me, the emotional abuse, and that, like you said, that subtle, you're never really going to be good enough.
Right.
That was the message. That was the message.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe if you do most of what we're saying, because you can't do everything because you're not perfect, maybe you won't go to the lake of fire.
Oh my gosh.
Ticket to Petra revoked.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not going. I'm not going.
You knew you were going.
Yeah. But yeah, I've had people to call me and tell me, I was in this group, and I'm going to read your book because what does disfellowship mean? What is that? But I said, yes, it's what you think. It's like excommunication. But I've had people reach out to me, and I see where the book, somebody bought it there in Canada, somebody from England. So I'm just happy that it's doing what I intended, which is first to just tell my story to help myself.
Yes.
Just not be so guarded. I mean, I didn't want to, leave this earth without telling my real story.
Yes.
Because I always had this thing up because I didn't want people to know. They might think I'm weird. Now I don't care. And nobody's had that reaction. Everybody's been like, what? They've just been shocked. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And thank you for your story too, Pam. I'm looking forward to reading your book. Actually, it's coming shortly. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance before the interview, but now that I had a chance to interact with you, like screen to screen here, I think that's going to be even more exciting to read your book. But you're a great reminder to us too of why we do what we do. This is so good. This is so good. And to hear your perspective from this time period, being a Black woman in one of the most racist religious organizations to ever exist.
Yeah.
I'm glad you told your story.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys are doing this. I mean, when I found this out, and then I've seen that there's a whole lot more out there. I'm just so glad, your generation does not hesitate to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
There was that, the talk of things that were done in darkness will be brought into the light. I'm like, that's what we're doing.
Yeah. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. Here we are. Yeah. But that's good. That's really good.
If I may, there was one paragraph right near the end of your book that I thought encapsulated so much of what's important about your story. I'm going to try to read it without crying, but okay, I'm going to read it. All right. Over time, I came to understand that growing up in that church and being disfellowshipped fostered a resilience within me. See, there it goes. that I may not have ever found. I know, I'm sorry. That I may not have ever found. I'm going to do that again. Over time, I came to understand that growing up in that church and being disfellowshipped fostered a resilience within me that I may not have ever found. I was forced to face challenges with strength, stand firm in my convictions, figure out and articulate my beliefs, and advocate for myself.
Yeah.
So powerful.
Yeah.
And I have been known to say that Herbert W. Armstrong made me an activist.
Mhm.
And it's for that same reason.
Yeah.
Because they taught me to believe in a better world.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so when I grew up and saw that's not what they were doing, and so many others aren't doing that either, I still want to do that.
Right. Yeah. I was a school principal, and I tried my best to be fair, to be kind, not overly harsh, because that's what I went through. I mean, even when kids messed up, sometimes it's like, okay, you're a kid, you're supposed to mess up, just don't do that again, And obviously, I was strict when I needed to be, but I like to think that I ruled with love and empathy and patience rather than being just this hard-nosed leader. I loved being a principal. I mean, that was my goal, and that was my life's work, and I did it in a couple of different districts. And now, working part-time, I teach people who are preparing to be principals. They are in the preparation program, so it's still I'm getting a chance to give back.
You're a cycle breaker, Pam. You're a cycle breaker.
Yeah.
And an amazing leader.
Yes.
Thank you. Well, yeah. Thank you.
Okay. It's been so wonderful to get to know you. And I want everybody listening to go into our description. You will find a link to Pamela's book. Go and find it and read it. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me today. I enjoyed this. This is very nice.
Everyone check out Pam Redd's book. Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
All right.